One alien distress call woke the giant. Now Deathworlders strike. The Zerk Expanse was a place most humans avoided. Its stars were dim, its planets often dead, and rumors spoke of ships that vanished without a trace. But for the explorers of the United Earth Survey fleet, it was a place of opportunity. Humanity had grown restless in the inner systems. The need to expand, to discover, to push the limits of knowledge had sent ships into the dark corners of the galaxy. The Starship Odyssey drifted through the cold blackness, its engines humming softly. Captain Mara Linton leaned over the navigation console, staring at the readings. Her crew of scientists, engineers, and exobiologists worked in quiet intensity. They had been charting this region for months, mapping planets no larger than moons, scanning for signs of life or ancient technology. The expanse had been mostly empty, until today. A sudden blip on the communication console caught everyone's attention. "Captain," said Lieutenant Soren, the communications officer, his voice tight with curiosity, "I'm picking up a signal. It's unusual." Mara straightened. "Unusual how?" Soren hesitated. "It's not human, not from any species in our database. And it's weak, very faint, but persistent. It repeats every 37 minutes. It's a distress signal, Captain. I think something, or someone, is calling for help." A ripple of excitement ran through the room. Humanity had encountered alien signals before, but this one felt different. There was an urgency in it, a raw edge of desperation. The Odyssey's sensors traced the source to a small star system near the edge of the expanse. "Plot a course," Mara said. "Let's see who needs our help." 3 days later, the Odyssey emerged from a field of icy asteroids. The system was quiet, almost too quiet. One planet orbited its star, a gray world with a surface that seemed cracked and dead. No atmosphere readings, no life signs. Just rock, dust, and a faint shimmer on the horizon. The distress signal grew stronger as they approached. It emanated from the planet itself, not from space. Mara frowned at the readings. The signal's energy patterns were unusual, almost organic. "Could it be a ship buried under the surface?" asked Dr. Elian Moore, the lead scientist. His eyes sparkled with excitement. "Or a probe left centuries ago?" Mara shook her head. "Whatever it is, it's big, very big. The readings don't match anything we've seen before." The crew suited up in exo-armored exploration suits, taking the Odyssey's hovercrafts to the surface. As they descended, the gray dust swirled around them, and the planet's stillness pressed against their helmets like a living weight. Then they saw it. It lay half-buried in the cracked plains, stretching farther than the eye could see. At first, it looked like a mountain, a jagged formation of rock, but closer inspection revealed smooth metallic surfaces, glowing lines of energy running across its body, and massive structures that resembled limbs. It was a colossal being, a giant unlike anything humans had ever imagined. "By the stars," whispered Dr. Moore. The Odyssey's AI, Ariel, analyzed the readings. "Unknown megastructure detected. Energy levels are dormant but stable. Organic patterns present. Distress signal originates from internal cores." Mara swallowed hard. "Internal cores? You mean it's alive?" "Unknown," Ariel replied. "It exhibits characteristics of a sentient organism and a machine simultaneously. It may be dormant, but the distress signal suggests damage or emergency functions active." The team moved closer, hovering cautiously over the surface. The giant's body seemed to pulse faintly, like a heartbeat. Shadows stretched across the plains as the colossal limbs shifted slightly beneath the surface. "Keep your distance," Mara warned. "We don't know if it's conscious or dangerous." Dr. Moore knelt by a glowing panel on the giant's side. This is incredible. Look at the inscriptions. Not a language we recognize, but patterns, symbols, maybe instructions or a warning." Soren frowned. "Could it be a trap, something left to lure explorers?" "Everything is a possibility," Mara said, her voice steady. "But we didn't come this far to turn back now." As night fell on the planet, the Odyssey's orbiting cameras captured something extraordinary. The giant stirred. Its massive head shifted, revealing eyes that glowed like molten gold. The ground trembled with each movement, sending dust clouds into the thin atmosphere. "It's awake," whispered Dr. Moore. It knows we're here." Mara's heart raced. She had trained for crises, for alien encounters, for the unknown. But nothing could prepare anyone for the sight of a being this massive, this ancient, and this alive. The distress signal continued, now synchronized with the giant's movements. It pulsed like a heartbeat, filling the air with a strange rhythm. Mara realized that the signal wasn't just a call for help, it was a beacon. Something else had noticed it, something dangerous. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple incoming ships," Soren said suddenly. His voice trembled slightly. "Fast, heavily armed, they're on an intercept course. Unknown species, they're coming here." Mara's jaw tightened. Deathworlders. She had read about them in classified reports, predatory aliens known for conquering and consuming entire worlds. They must have picked up the distress signal too. The realization hit the crew hard. Humanity was not alone in answering the call. They were in the path of one of the deadliest species in the galaxy, and their ally, the giant, was still trying to understand them as much as they were trying to understand it. Over the next few hours, the Odyssey's crew attempted contact with the giant. Using energy pulses, rhythmic sounds, and visual signals, they tried to communicate. Slowly, the giant responded. Its enormous limbs shifted gently, almost as if nodding, and it emitted low, resonant tones that vibrated through the ground. "Doctor." Moore's voice trembled with excitement. "It's intelligent. It recognizes us. I think it's assessing whether we are friend or foe." Mara felt a mix of awe and fear. They were standing at the edge of something monumental, an alliance that could either save them or doom them. Outside, the sky darkened with the approach of the Deathworlder ships. Sleek, angular vessels cut through the void, radiating menace. Mara knew they had little time. Humanity could not fight them alone, and the giant might be their only chance. The decision was made. Mara ordered a full scan of the giant, looking for potential weak points, control centers, or ways to communicate directly. At the same time, the Odyssey's weapons were prepped. They would defend themselves if necessary, but they hoped it wouldn't come to that. As the first Deathworlder scouts entered orbit, the giant finally fully awakened. Its massive body rose from the plains, revealing a height so vast it stretched into the clouds. Dust storms swirled around its feet, and energy lines along its body pulsed brighter. It was alive, aware, and ready. Mara's heart pounded. She realized that the galaxy was about to change forever. The humans of the Odyssey had answered a call for help, awakened an ancient giant, and now faced the imminent arrival of one of the deadliest species in existence. But as she watched the golden eyes of the giant focus on the approaching ships, she felt a spark of hope. Humanity had never faced anything like this before, but perhaps, just perhaps, they could survive. The signal had been answered. The giant had awakened. And the Deathworlders were coming. The expanse held its breath. The Deathworlder ships hung in the black sky above the gray planet like a storm waiting to break. Their angular silhouettes reflected faint starlight, and their engines glowed a cold, deadly blue. The Odyssey drifted just above the planet's surface, shields raised, weapons ready, while the giant slowly rose behind it, each movement sending tremors across the cracked plains. Captain Mara Linton stood on the bridge, her hands gripping the railing. Her heart pounded, but her voice remained steady. "Soren, status report. How soon will they reach the planet?" Soren's fingers flew across the console. "They're less than 30 minutes away. Fast approach. Weapons systems fully armed." "They've scanned the planet and know something, or someone large is here. They're expecting a fight." Dr. Elian Moore, standing nearby, muttered under his breath. "They have no idea what they're walking into." Mara didn't reply. She had no doubt. Humanity had never faced a threat this deadly before, yet she felt a spark of determination. The odds were against them, but they were human, and humans never gave up. The giant moved closer to the fleet. Its head turned slowly, scanning the horizon, and then it exhaled a low, resonant hum. The vibrations shook the Odyssey slightly, enough to make the crew feel the weight of the creature's presence. Ariel, the ship's AI, projected a series of energy patterns toward the giant. Slowly, the giant's glowing lines blinked in response, forming a rhythm that matched Ariel's pulses. "It's learning," Dr. Moore said. "It's understanding us, or at least our intentions." Mara nodded. "Good, we need it on our side. Soren, open a channel to the giant." Attempt direct communication. The bridge fell silent as Soren worked. The giant's massive head tilted and its eyes glowed brighter. Then a vibration ran through the ground, a sound humans could feel in their bones. The giant's voice, if it could be called that, was a deep hum that resonated with intelligence and curiosity. Ariel translated the vibration into a simple pattern. "They recognize us as allies," it said. "They are willing to cooperate." Mara allowed herself a small smile. "All right, let's make this work. The Deathworlders won't wait for introductions." The first Deathworlder ships entered the system. Small fighter craft swarmed ahead of the main fleet, skimming across the planet's atmosphere like swarms of predatory insects. Mara issued orders swiftly. Odyssey, engage evasive maneuvers. Fighters, intercept incoming scouts. Giant, follow my lead. Do not attack unless I give the signal. The Odyssey's weapons fired in controlled bursts, disabling 2 incoming scouts without damaging the planet. The giant shifted its massive limbs, creating shockwaves that knocked several other ships off course. The Deathworlders were fast, but they were not expecting resistance, especially not from a creature this immense. Dr. Moore's eyes shone with excitement. "It's working." The giant understands tactics. It's using its weight and energy to disrupt their formation. "Keep them busy," Mara said. "We buy time for the main fleet to retreat to safe orbit if necessary. We need to survive long enough to find a strategy." As the battle intensified, Mara noticed something remarkable. The giant was not just reacting, it was learning. Each movement, each pulse of energy countered the Deathworlders' maneuvers. Where one attack failed, it adapted, shifting limbs to block or crush, its massive body becoming a fortress and weapon all at once. The humans realized they had a partner who could not tire, who could fight for hours without pause. But they also knew they could not rely entirely on its power. They had to be clever. Humanity's advantage was not strength. It was intelligence, creativity, and the ability to improvise. Mara issued a new plan. "We'll use the terrain, draw them into the canyon to the north. The giant will block the entrance while we attack from above. We hit fast, retreat, and force them into choke points. We can't destroy their fleet completely, but we can thin their numbers and survive." The strategy unfolded with precision. The Odyssey's hovercrafts darted between rocky formations, targeting weak points in the enemy ship's armor. Mines and energy pulses were laid across the canyon floor, turning the terrain into a deadly trap. The giant waited at the entrance, its massive feet planted firmly, ready to crush any ship that tried to escape. The first wave of Deathworlders entered the canyon. They had expected a fight against humans, not a titanic sentinel using the terrain to its advantage. Ships were caught in energy bursts, crushed by falling rocks or thrown off course by shockwaves. The humans cheered quietly in the Odyssey's control room, their hearts lifted by the sight of victory, even a small one. Dr. Moore shook his head in disbelief. "I never imagined humans would fight alongside a being like this. It's incredible." Mara didn't answer. She was focused on the next wave, the main fleet. The Deathworlders had reinforcements on the way, larger ships carrying heavier weapons. The fight was far from over. As night fell, the battle became more dangerous. The Deathworlders adjusted their tactics, sending faster, more agile fighters to flank the humans. The giant responded in kind, swinging massive limbs, creating energy barriers, and using its body to protect the Odyssey. Every strike from the enemy seemed calculated, but every counter from humanity and the giant was smarter. The humans discovered something vital. The giant responded to their leadership. When Mara gave orders, it acted like a general, moving strategically rather than randomly. They realized that courage and clarity of thought could guide the colossal being, giving humanity a chance to survive against overwhelming odds. Soren's voice rang out. "Captain, sensors show the enemy's command ship entering orbit. They're preparing a strike on the giant." Mara's jaw tightened. "Then we hit first. Prepare the Odyssey's primary weapons. Dr. Moore set up synchronized energy pulses with the giant. We need to disable their main ship before it can attack." The synchronized attack was risky. Timing had to be perfect. The Odyssey's weapons fired in tandem with energy waves from the giant, creating a chain reaction that disabled the enemy command ship's shields. Explosions rippled across the hull, sending debris into space. The Deathworlder fleet faltered, their formation breaking under the unexpected assault. Dr. Moore's hands shook as he monitored the results. We actually did it. The command ship is crippled." But Mara knew better than to celebrate. "Good, but this is only the beginning. They'll regroup and come at us harder. We need a new plan to survive the next wave." Over the next few hours, humanity and the giant learned to coordinate perfectly. The giant became both shield and weapon, while human crews executed precise attacks. The Deathworlders, confident in their superiority, underestimated the combination of human creativity and the power of an awakened ancient being. Mara realized something profound. The galaxy often looked at humans as weak, fragile, or unprepared. But when faced with true danger, humanity adapted. They could think faster, act smarter, and find solutions where others relied on brute force. This was their greatest strength, and now they were proving it. The Deathworlders launched another assault, larger and more aggressive. But the humans and the giant were ready. Using the terrain, synchronized strikes, and clever traps, they tore through the enemy's formation. Ships were disabled, pilots forced to retreat, and the Deathworlders' morale began to crack. Dr. Moore stared at the battlefield in awe. It's like watching humans and a god fight together. I never thought this day would come." Mara's voice was calm but fierce. "It's coming, and we will survive. We always do." As the battle wore on, Mara noticed a strange pattern in the Deathworlders' attacks. They were learning too, adjusting tactics, avoiding obvious traps and focusing on the Odyssey. She realized that survival would not come from repeating the same strategies. They had to innovate continuously, think ahead, and use the giant in ways the enemy could not predict. "Dr. Moore," she said, pointing to the giant, "we need it to take the offensive, not just defend. Find a way to extend its energy pulses, turn the battlefield into a weapon." Working quickly, Moore adjusted the giant's energy output, channeling power into focused bursts. Rocks exploded, enemy ships were thrown into chaos, and the humans gained momentum. For the first time, they were not just surviving, they were controlling the fight. By dawn, the Deathworlders had suffered heavy losses. Their fleet was scattered, their formations broken, and their confidence shaken. The humans had held the line, using intelligence, courage, and an unlikely alliance to turn the tide. The giant, sensing the end of the battle, lowered its limbs, allowing humans to approach. Mara stepped forward, standing on a rocky ledge. "We did it," she whispered, awe in her voice. "We survived, and we did it together." Dr. Moore smiled, exhausted but elated. "The galaxy will never see humans the same way again, not after today." Mara looked at the horizon, where the Deathworlder remnants retreated. The giant's golden eyes turned toward the stars, as if acknowledging that this fight was just the beginning. Humanity had proven its ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, But the galaxy was vast, and dangers were many. Yet for the first time, Mara felt hope. They had awakened a giant, fought the deadliest species they had ever encountered, and survived. Humanity had struck back, and it had worked. The battle was over for now, but the war for survival had only just begun. The sky over the gray planet had turned a deep, smoky blue from the fires of battle. The Deathworlders' remnants retreated into the void, but the humans knew it was only a temporary reprieve. Their enemy would regroup, repair, and return with more ships, more weapons, and more fury. Humanity had survived so far, but survival alone would not be enough. They needed victory, and they needed it fast. Captain Mara Linton stood on the Odyssey's bridge, staring at the readings. The giant towered behind the ship, its massive limbs planted firmly in the cracked planes, eyes glowing like molten gold. The creature had become a symbol of hope for the human crew, a living guardian and a weapon beyond imagination. "Soren, what's the status of the Deathworlders?" Mara asked, her voice calm but edged with tension. "They're repairing the command ship," Soren said, frowning at the holographic display. "Estimates show they could be back in force within 48 hours. We can't wait that long. We need a decisive plan. Doctor." Elian Moore stepped forward, excitement and determination in his eyes. "Captain, we've learned a lot from the last engagement. The giant responds to our guidance, and its energy output can be focused. If we combine our strategy with its raw power, we can strike their fleet before they're fully prepared. We could end this before they have a chance to retaliate." Mara nodded. "Then we strike. Prepare all systems. Everyone needs to be ready. Humanity is going to show the galaxy what it can do." The humans and the giant had spent hours studying the battlefield. The Deathworlders' tactics were predictable once patterns emerged. They relied on overwhelming force, speed, and aggression, but they lacked creativity. Humans had that in abundance. Using the planet's canyons, ridges, and energy channels, they designed traps and ambushes that no enemy could anticipate. Ariel, the Odyssey's AI, displayed a three-dimensional map of the upcoming battlefield. "Analysis shows optimal positions for energy amplification," it said. "Giants' limbs can be used to generate localized shockwaves, while human weapons target weak points in enemy armor. Probability of decisive victory, 87%. Mara allowed herself a rare smile. "That's the best chance we'll get. Let's make it count." The next wave arrived just before dawn. The Deathworlders came in force, their main command ship leading a fleet of heavily armed vessels. Mara watched as the enemy moved with confidence, unaware of the trap waiting below. "Giant, follow the plan," she instructed. The creature's glowing eyes shifted toward her, then focused on the incoming fleet. Its massive body moved with a grace that belied its size, each step sending tremors through the planet. The humans launched a coordinated assault. Hovercrafts darted through the canyons, firing precision energy bursts, while automated mines detonated in the fleet's path. The giant slammed its fists into the ground, sending waves of energy that disabled enemy ships mid-flight. Rocks erupted from the surface, crashing into vessels and scattering smaller fighters like leaves in a storm. Dr. Moore's voice rang out over the comms. "They're breaking formation. Keep pushing." Mara gritted her teeth. "Good, but stay sharp. The main command ship will strike hard." The command ship fired a barrage of concentrated energy toward the Odyssey and the giant. Mara's crew dodged, weaving between rocky ridges, while the giant raised its massive limbs to block the blasts. The air itself seemed to hum as the force of the enemy weapons collided with the creature's energy shields. Sparks flew, rocks shattered, and a shockwave rolled across the plains. "Now," Mara shouted, "Doctor." Moore activated a series of synchronized energy pulses, sending waves through the giant's limbs and into the battlefield. The planet itself seemed to respond, amplifying the shockwaves. The Deathworlder command ship shuddered, shields flickering, systems failing. One precise strike from the Odyssey disabled its main engines, sending it spiraling out of control. The smaller ships panicked. With their leader crippled, they scattered in confusion. Humanity and the giant pressed the advantage. Hovercrafts struck with pinpoint accuracy, mines detonated along escape routes, and the giant crushed ships under its massive limbs. Despite their losses, the Deathworlders refused to surrender. They regrouped, preparing one final, desperate assault. Mara realized this was their last chance to end the threat once and for all. "Giant, we need everything you've got," she said. The creature's glowing eyes met hers. She felt an unspoken understanding pass between them. It was not just a battle of weapons. It was a battle of trust, cooperation, and intelligence. The humans moved into position, guiding the giant into the center of a massive canyon. Using the terrain, they channeled its energy into a focused attack. The giant raised its arms, generating a massive pulse of energy that rippled through the canyon walls. The Deathworlder fleet, trapped between the walls and the unstoppable force, had no escape. Ships were tossed like paper, ripped apart by shockwaves or forced into collisions. Mara and her crew fired their weapons in perfect timing with the giant's movements, targeting remaining engines, weapons, and command centers. Every strike counted. Every maneuver was precise. The Deathworlders fought with fury, but they were outmatched. The combination of human strategy and the giant's power was overwhelming. One by one, enemy ships fell. The command ship, damaged from earlier attacks, exploded in a brilliant flash, sending debris across space. Dr. Moore cheered, exhausted but exhilarated. It's over." "They're retreating," Mara exhaled slowly, relief washing over her, but she remained vigilant. "Not yet. Make sure every ship is disabled. Humanity cannot afford a surprise." The giant roared, a deep, resonant sound that echoed across the plains. The humans realized it was not just a creature. It was a guardian, a living weapon, and a friend. Together, they had turned the tide of the battle, proving that intelligence, courage, and cooperation could overcome even the deadliest foes. As the last Deathworlder ships retreated into space, Mara looked at the battlefield. The planet was scarred, craters and destroyed ships littered the plains, but the humans and the giant had survived. They had not only defended themselves, they had achieved victory. "Doctor." Moore approached Mara, his eyes wide with awe. "Captain, we did it. We actually did it. Humanity, we survived, and we won." Mara nodded, but her gaze returned to the giant. "No, Dr. Moore, we didn't just survive, we proved something. We proved that humans can fight, adapt, and win against odds that seem impossible. And we did it together, with an ally no one else could have imagined." The giant shifted, kneeling slightly so that humans could approach. Mara stepped closer, placing a hand on the glowing surface of its arm. A pulse ran through her, a feeling of connection, understanding, and respect. It was as if the giant recognized the courage and determination of humanity and acknowledged them as equals. News of the battle spread quickly. Across the Zerk expanse, other human colonies and fleets received reports of the humans who had awakened a giant and defeated the feared Deathworlders. Humanity's reputation grew. For the first time, other species looked at humans not as weak or fragile, but as clever, adaptable, and brave. Mara stood on the Odyssey's observation deck, looking at the giant as it slowly returned to its dormant state. Its energy lines dimmed, its massive form blending into the landscape once more. Yet even as it rested, the humans knew it was still alive, still watching, still waiting. Dr. Moore joined her. "Do you think it will stay here?" Mara nodded. "Yes. And I think it will help protect this system, and maybe others if needed. We awakened it, and we showed it trust. That's something the galaxy has never seen before, humans and a guardian working together." The crew of the Odyssey prepared to leave the planet. The Deathworlders were defeated for now, but Mara knew the galaxy was full of challenges. Other dangers would come. Other battles would await. But humanity had proven that intelligence, courage, and cooperation could turn the tide, even against impossible odds. As they left the planet behind, Mara allowed herself a moment of pride. Humanity had faced the unknown, awakened a titan, and survived when others would have fallen. The stars stretched before them, vast and full of possibility. And somewhere deep within the gray planet the giant rested, watching, waiting, and ready to rise again if the galaxy called. Mara smiled. The galaxy had no idea what humans were truly capable of, but soon everyone would know. The expanse was no longer empty. It was alive with the story of humanity, courageous, clever, and unstoppable. And humanity would never stop reaching for the stars.